It's showtime! Hi. Oh, we are doing
Just
just hands now. We're
hands.
just hands. Hi, everybody. Hope you're well.
Hi,
Thank you for
hi.
joining us. Hi. So I'm Sabina, and this is beautiful Cheryl from Joyful Bodies.
Hi,
And
guys. Thank you for coming along now or later.
yeah. So basically, we are doing these chats, these awesome chats. Since lockdown happened, we do lots of self-development, and we just were having these awesome conversations like over the phone. We're like, oh my God, we need to take it online. It might be helpful for some people. It might not be for others, but just take it from it, whatever speaks to you. So
Absolutely.
that's pretty much, would you want to add anything to that?
No, it's cool. I mean, we've got a
Yeah.
YouTube channel as well that
Oh, yeah.
we'll sort of put the link in the comments. So I know some people like YouTube more, and obviously all the chat shows are on there. So this is number 9, and share it with people. We have a lot of laughter. There's a lot of vulnerability, and probably a lot more today because I'm gonna kind of like open up a bit more.
Yay. I get to
There's lots
interview her.
There's tips, there's insights, there's politically incorrectness, challenging things that people don't necessarily want to talk about, so just take what you want to from it. Yeah.
Yes.
And I will look slightly to my right every now and then to look at another device just to see comments. So please excuse that if I do that occasionally.
We will forgive you. Anyway, so what's been happening in your world, my dear? Because I know that lots has been happening. So would you like to start?
Yeah. So it's been a couple of weeks since we did a show, and I've been going through caterpillar soup.
I love the way you call it, caterpillar soup.
Yeah.
Would you like to first, would you like to maybe explain what the caterpillar soup actually is?
Yes, it's one of my favourite flavours. Oh, I've lost your earpods, darling. You've cut out. Oh, no, you are. You're in and out. Speak again, my sweeties.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So caterpillar soup. So I guess if this is a little basic biology, for those who may or may have forgotten, whatever, a caterpillar basically transforms into a butterfly, and to do that, it becomes a pupae. So it takes its own lovely little long body and basically starts to break its insides down of enzymes, and it breaks itself down into a mush, hence calling it caterpillar soup, to then transform to a chrysalis, the little cocoon, for it to then become a butterfly, and off it goes. And so that caterpillar soup for me was a case of kind of, although we, Sabina said, we both kind of into that self-exploration, self-awareness, for whatever reason, on our journeys. And it goes along, and then there's sometimes there's really sort of significant changes or deconstruction of what's been in the past, and so I've had a big chunk of my previous way of being in the world start to become slop.
Yeah. That's maybe, so this is amazing, right? So we have to literally deconstruct to become something else, to morph into beautiful butterfly, right? So what's
or even more, more,
even beyond. So what's been happening for you? What are the changes you're going through?
She says, wiggling around. So okay, so
do you want to start with vulnerability, maybe?
Vulnerability.
I think that's a good one with you, isn't it?
Yeah. So I may jump around in different timelines, but it's a way of me attempting to share and express who I've been, why I've chosen a certain path, and what's been going on for me now. So, and a big part for me has always been, I can see a lot of what's going on in the world and in people's worlds. So it's very easy for me to share insights. And so let's say effectively that kind of coaching aspect. But you may have noticed I don't necessarily share a lot about me. So, and it's not that I'm hiding it. It's more a case of, it means that somehow I'm still able to master myself, which has been the thing. So one of the first things I remember as a baby, as a child, I think I'm about 2 years of age when this photo was taken. I've got two photos. There's one of me about 6 months, one of me about two and a half. So I'm going to guess it's when I was two and a half. I'm pretty sure it must be that one. And I'm sitting on this little sideboard bit of furniture, and the photographer says to me, "Smile." And I remember thinking, it was so clear, thinking, I am smiling. And then in my head, I said, "I'm alone up here. It's not safe." And it wasn't that I was physically unsafe, that I was going to fall off. And then the photo turned out beautifully, a big smile. But it was that, like, okay, there are adults around me, but really, I've got to take care of myself. So that was the first recall I have of, don't really rely on anybody. So be self-sufficient. But of course, as a child, that's not technically, it's not fully possible. You know, we still need caring, we're still developing. But that was the first stage. And then another significant step was when I was about 5 to 6. I was at school, and I was top of the class in maths and doing times tables. We would have tests, and I'd basically always come first. I may occasionally second, but generally first. So that gave me a sense of, like, oh, you know, I don't know, a sense of something. And then this particular day, I thought we were going to have a maths test, and we had a not just a spelling test, because I could spell, but teacher asked us to write our alphabet out. And I was like, well, I can read, I can write, I can do like times tables way ahead of most of the class. And I suddenly had this massive panic, because I realized I knew the first 3 letters of the alphabet, and I had no idea what the rest of the order was. And it was like this panic and this sense of, I guess, what we'd call shame now, this embarrassment. And I was like, I wrote down some stuff, but I was like desperate to get out of the classroom. And so I kind of, I don't know, gave my paper in or whatever. And I was like hoping no one would know. And it happened to be lunchtime, so I walked myself home. And I remember getting into my house and thinking, looking at my mum. Now, I was in foster care, basically from 0 to 8. The children's home from 8 to 9, and then my adoptive parents. So these were my foster parents, who were mum and dad, but I knew I was fostered. I knew it wasn't a permanent, that one day it would end. And I guess also to give a bit more context, they were like sort of what I call World War I babies, so 1914, 1918, you know, that kind of, they were born around those times. So they were sort of basically retired. This is 1976, 77, you know, sort of like 60. It's a different generation. They just got on with things. I wasn't necessarily interacted with a lot. I was just, you know, allowed to go out and play and do my own thing. So maybe in their timeline that was normal, but it felt as if I was always wanting more interaction, always wanting, more interaction, I guess. And so I came home at this lunchtime, and I remember looking at my foster mum and thinking, "You've let me down. Why haven't you taught me the alphabet? Why haven't you prepared me?" And I went to my toy box, and I happened to find a ball which had the alphabet on, and you know, I learned it at lunchtime, and boom, sorted. But it made a sort of indelible mark, which was like, I can't rely on adults. I can't rely on anybody. And those were sort of the beginning. There were other things, but they were like and it wasn't like they were abusive or not taking care of me. They loved me dearly, without doubt. But they were doing whatever they did for their generation, and my foster dad hardly ever spoke. So I was always sort of reaching to have him give me attention, not by being like a needy little kid, but I always longed for that attention. And so, you know, knowing that I wasn't getting it, and I didn't feel as if I was nurtured. I'm quite bright academically, so I picked up things quite easily, but I felt like I was basically an adult in a kid's body. You know, I was fed, I was given loads of toys, I was left given loads of freedom, do my own thing. But maybe that wasn't really what I needed. Totally.
You needed
And
care, right?
yeah, they loved me definitely. And but yeah, I'd always felt like I was looking in, watching in. I wasn't actively ignored, but my foster mum was that old school. You know, she was always baking and
Maybe it was
taking
too much
care.
freedom for a kid.
So again,
Maybe it was too much freedom for a kid. Right.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was the perfect mix, right? Who knows? I mean, and also I think. Hi Maria, welcome. Also think that that, you know, on a sort of biological level, like our nervous systems, we've all got nervous systems that are tuned to a certain degree. So, you know, this whole fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And when they're relaxed, we're able to be creative, create our lives. We're able to be in, you know, in communion with other people. We're able basically to express our higher desires. And so, I suspect my own nervous system was already attuned to fight or flight, because my mother's was, I would say, was probably attuned to that. She ended up going through foster care. I'm not going to sort of share her story because it's her privacy, but she ended up going through foster care. And I think, and I was conceived while she was just coming to the end of her foster care. And I've got a feeling that things weren't stable for her while she was carrying me. That maybe she was, you know, not in shelter or whatever. So, and then my mum's the Irish Canadian, so the white, pinky yellow, as I call it, and my dad's the brownie West Indian bit. And generationally, you know, not even going to the West Indian bit, but there's trauma in that.
Yeah.
So nervous systems predispositions, I think all our nervous systems were like, so mine's always been more alert, looking. And I go more to fight, which is the masculine energy of take on and challenges, take things, be in control, to make sure that I'm not at the effect of anybody else. If I didn't feel nurtured as a child, then it was kind of a natural response. It was either shut down or go for it, and I was the kind of person that went for it.
Yeah, this is just, I was just actually going to ask, you know, how did those experiences from childhood ripple out into life now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a third one that really comes to mind as well, and it's pretty worth. I'm going to share it because it's what I'm aware of. So,
thank you for sharing, by the way.
It's cool, and I'm attempting to stay as present as I can with the emotion of it rather than this intellectual, because I have shared this information occasionally with people, and it means nothing to me, but I know it's part of me kind of separating from any of the hurt that's still there. And it's not that I'm afraid to go to the hurt, but there's obviously still something that says if I let go of the fight and the push and the drive, who will I become? And so there was, as I was coming towards my 8th birthday, or pretty much, I was then, my foster mother became ill, or at least I was told she was ill, and so I was very quickly taken from my home into a children's home. And there were a few little things, but within 5-6 weeks, she died basically. And so I had no idea that it was that severe. And I'd been to visit her once hospital just before she died. So this was and there was a whole heap of stuff there in terms of, you know, I had a little bit of a tantrum because I guess emotionally I couldn't quite. Suddenly my world was upside down. And I knew one day this was going to happen. I was going to be taken away, but I didn't really understand. Well, I didn't think she was going to. I didn't realize she was going to die.
How old were you then?
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hi Tracy, welcome. And so I remember getting the news that she died, you know, going into floods of tears and this deep sobbing. And again, it kind of cemented that, okay, you know, the aloneness. Now, the children's home was actually a pretty cool space. However, some of the staff are amazing, but there was one sort of main staff that ran it. They changed hands whilst I was there, and the ones that took over, she didn't have access to her own emotions. So in a few months after my foster mother died, we were on a holiday, like the whole foster home or children's home was on holiday, and I obviously was missing my mum, and I cried, and she kind of basically told me that was enough tears. And so at age 8, I made that, okay, I'm now going to shut everything down. I'm never going to be vulnerable again, ever.
Oh my God!
I'm
listening to this. Please let your kids cry out and process the emotions, right? Because like you haven't processed them. That's why.
Yeah, it was an ongoing from a very young age, keeping it, not showing it, keeping it all down. Not because I was told to do it. It was my way of, making sure that I could take care of me. So that journey continued then, and that I knew that what I decided was the way of being totally self-sufficient was I would just rely on me. So I was academically fairly, relatively gifted. So I was good at school. I was a very tidy child. I saved my pocket money. I happened to be fairly sporty. So I would just go after things, and I would, go on with it. And I would stick up for the kids who got bullied. I'd intervene. So I kind of had this kind of hero, the masculine hero kind of energy is in. I can take it on. I'm never going to show anything. And I actually got adopted within a year of being in the children's home. I met my adoptive parents a year after being in the children's home, so I was only there for that year. But I wasn't the little girl I think my mum was hoping for, because I didn't show. I didn't allow anybody. I didn't need anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't need anybody. And so that created it created lots of cool stuff. However, it created some things that weren't necessarily so cool. So I had heavy menstrual bleed, constipation, all that stuffing, like holding stuff down.
Holding emotions is never good. It always creates a disease.
Illness, disease. It really did. I had the most horrendous bleeds. I mean, it was just horrendous. And I could see all that, where that came from. And I was really fortunate. I had some cool school friends. I generally preferred guys, but there were some cool girlfriends. And then I had some really lovely boyfriends who were actually more maybe on their feminine, who were softer, more open, who started to coax me out.
Yeah.
And so I still had that kind of masculine drive, which went through my career or my career, and then I kind of got to my mid-20s and suddenly thought, this sense of push drive, trying to conquer things, don't let anybody in, don't show any vulnerability, don't show anything. I mean, I wasn't completely ice cold, but I struggled to express and share. There were certain things I could do with, like I could play music or collect music. I was into a certain type of soul, and so I could do it through the music, through dance. But the couple of times I attempted to open up and share, a couple of times at work, people freaked out because I was such a solid rock. People no one messed with me, so they freaked out, and I was like, oh my god, okay.
It's so funny when they're not used to it, right? And then you're like, oh my god, what's happening with you?
Yeah. Hi, Brenda. Welcome, darling. And so fast forward, sort of about 98, 27, 28, I kind of realized that this way of this constant throwing myself at challenges, but not showing it, or just not let anybody in, was unsustainable. It just wasn't going to work. And so this is where the whole self-awareness journey became. And so I've been going without realizing necessarily. I was starting to soften, to open up. So that's been the journey for 22 years. So that vulnerability, allowing others to contribute to me, allow myself to see, has been ongoing. And then the last couple of weeks is like another chunk of it. So 22 years, it's changed quite a lot. But the last 2 weeks have been a lot more.
And that's what's changed to tap into. That's what I'm interested in. I know, it's
so I gave you just some context because it was important for me to share that, because part of what I've been doing the last 2 weeks is actually starting to share more about how I'm feeling. And because I saw it as vulnerable, and even though I've softened with it over the years, it was still a lot that I wasn't. And it's not even about the content, but being willing to say it and not just give people fairly short answers, which is more of a default masculine.
I did notice that you do that a lot. I'm like that.
Yeah.
Spitting out, everything is there.
Puking out like a woman. I'm like, yeah, boom, boom, boom.
Very, no, I'm like, keeping it short and sweet.
Very masculine energy, which is very wonderful. Masculine, feminine is lovely. Both, we are much more, and we have those aspects.
They need to be balanced, right?
That's and so for me to be sharing how I feel, it's part of me allowing somebody or something, or actually just letting go of control more. So that's been kind of a lot for me the last 2 weeks. So the three things that really have been in my space have been, one, sharing how I feel with my partner has been a big thing. Even more with him. There's been some really vulnerable, including some ugly crying, which it's pretty rare for me. I'll cry at a movie if somebody's unkind. If there's a lack of caring, I will cry, because it goes to the very core of me. It's like, how can somebody hurt somebody like that? So that will go right through and I'll definitely cry. But very rarely do I cry with my partner or somebody or a friend, because I just don't necessarily go to those spaces either through the sharing of what's going on there, or I've processed it alone. I'm like one of those extrovert introverts. I do a lot of inner stuff quite happily on my own.
So how was the ugly crying? So I'm just going to dig into that, because I'm like, I ugly cry all the time. It's great. How did it feel for you?
You know what?
Did you
a few times
coming out?
It does get phlegmy, doesn't it? It doesn't. It does require the tissues. It does. It does. I tell you what's interesting because I've done it a few times during the lockdown. Actually, about 3 times. So actually, there's a lot more. The lockdown has given me such a great space to get to stuff that it just gets to the next level of stuff. I guess it just has. And yeah, I did have some sort of phlegmy stuff to had to blow, but I tell you what was amazing because I've been requiring because I've been getting softer in terms of how I allowing others in or start to share more or wanting to be in that femininity. And for me, that's really about wanting to be taken care of because I've had my own back virtually all my life. Even if people have wanted to contribute to me, I've let them in little bits, and some people a little bit more, but I've still had my own back mostly, which is cool. Actually, I kind of would like to have somebody to let others have my own back more.
Is it because, like, if you let somebody in and like they can disappoint you and they can, is that why you didn't let anybody in? Or you want to have that control?
I think it's keeping myself safe, right? So if I had that mechanism, which is part of the biological mechanisms to keep ourselves safe, it's a healthy thing to have. But mine was extra stimulated.
Yeah.
So if I was aware of that from the age of 2, and I'm not talking about falling over, scraping knee, I'm talking about fundamentally, right, I need to take care of me. And I'm age 2, guys. Can you get the context of that? So if I've had that, and I'm consciously aware of that from now still. So that means there's a few more layers there. And so I've let a lot of stuff in compared to when I was at age 2, but still there was stuff I just wasn't. And so yeah, I mean, give you an example, and I won't talk about somebody else's stuff on this show, right? Because to me it's like it's their stuff, it's one of my kind of golden things. But I'll give you as much as I can to give it a context. So I happened to say to my partner about I basically said to him, I'm going through this caterpillar soup. I've got no desire to basically do anything. And it's not, I mean, I'm just getting up and maintaining some client stuff and whatever, but basically all the things that all my morning daily practices, self-awareness practices, things I do as fundamental part of my evolution, as my development in the day. I just let it all go. I wasn't reading I was reading basic emails for work, but wasn't looking on Facebook, wasn't wanting to watch YouTube, wasn't wanting to read any books. Basically, all the stuff which was like do, go conquer the masculine stuff. I was like, none of it. There was no energy for it. And I said, it's not that I'm melancholic. It's not that I want to die. But just basically, I just want to be taken care of.
Yeah. So that's how you're dealing with it right now. You just want to be taken care of and just
that's a lot in my space. And it's evolved in the 2 weeks. It's evolved a lot. So there were things I asked of my partner. I was starting to ask of him because as my body's opening up more, it's sensuality and the sexualness of my body's opened up a lot over the last how many years, and I've been exploring that, and so it's opening up more and more. And so it requires different things to what it required when I met my partner 14 years ago. And so I started to express that to him, but actually I needed to express it at a whole another level, and so I did. And I was like, this is what I require. Either you can give it to me, that's fine, if you want to go there. And I'd invited him to that several times before in little bits. But I just laid it all out there, and I was basically like, this is what I want in my life and has my life. So if you want to play that, it's great. If not, I'm going elsewhere. And elsewhere would be complete shit, And it was intense because it's not like I'm scared of leaving my partner, because I've always been the person pretty much who's left my partners. I'm like, there will be a day, guys, I'm going to leave you, and they all know that from day one. Right? I'm very, that's the masculine bit. This is the contract. I'm here, and then when it's done, I'm done. Right?
He's a very patient person.
Very clear, very. But I've softened a lot more with him as well, and it was like, yeah, I said, I want this kind of thing, this kind of lifestyle, these kind of things I didn't necessarily value before, stuff that's reality values, whether it's being taken out and treated. It's not like he doesn't take me out, it's not that at all, but I used to kind of be like, who cares about those type of things? Who really cares about the flash holidays or the clothes or the cars? And we had some nice stuff, and he has always treated me. but I didn't really value any of them. And actually, I'm becoming like, I want to be a bit of a princess. I'm in that transition of princess stage.
You already are.
Well, princess goddess, but I'm like, now I'm like, just, he totally adores me. I'm like, but now you need to tell me lots more. And now I'm like, just take me to surprise places. And now I don't want to organize anything. I don't want to project manage anything. I don't want to, like, I'm good at organizing. I'm like, I don't want to do any of that anymore. And literally, I don't want to do any of it anymore. I'm just like, just you take care of everything and just stroke me and adore me.
Oh, nice.
I may or may not ever work again. I'm like, yeah, I've kind of
like a pussycat, basically.
basically like a pussycat.
Life. That is totally a cat's life.
Goddess, pussycat. Yeah, I'm in that space. So and he's still, and so he stroked me yesterday about an hour and a half. It was
Oh
just
my
like,
God, delicious. Wow.
and we used to get together like every weekend. We'd spend time together. But then I started getting into body work a few years ago, so I'd always be out all the weekends. So we weren't making the time for each other. And then every now and then we would, and it was like, and during lockdown we made loads of time together just to go and lay in bed, and then it kind of started to slide. His activities have picked up a bit as lockdowns eased, and it was starting to slide. And I was like, no, this doesn't work for me. I want this from my partner now, rather than going to hang out with girlfriends and body work. I'm like, no, I want this in my love relationship. This has to be in place for me now because I'm waking up. So, babes, you you've got to deliver. I've got to go. And it was said with through tears and ugly crying.
Yeah. Just speaking your needs, what you need, what you require. I love that.
Yeah, and it was it was that vulnerability. And it was amazing because when he didn't run, and he came to me and his whole attention, his whole masculinity, just he was just like, if he could get any close to me, he'd be inside my body, and trying to comfort me and that. And he didn't say anything and just listened. And then he tried to kind of say something to do a little fix it. And I'm like, babe, you just need to hear me. And he shut up.
Now more in the feminine side, and he can be more in the masculine side.
Yeah.
Masculinity.
Which is taking care. And I've been learning a lot about this energy, which I've learned about it in the past. And I haven't looked at it for years. And it's really in my space right now because I'm stepping into it. So I've been doing lots of listening to John Gray, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And when I heard that years ago, I was like, yeah, whatever. But actually, I've been listening to his shit. His shit is like, oh my God, yeah, totally. Yeah, because he talks about biology as well, the chemicals in our body.
Yeah.
And how actually, if you're in a male body, there are certain chemicals, that happen in a female body. I'm like, oh shit, I can see where I was out of balance. I'm like, that totally matches. So yeah, it's just like, okay. So that's kind of my caterpillar soup ishness.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's really major breakthrough. And it just sounds delicious though, like being taken care of and stroked for an hour and a half. Damn, yeah.
Yeah. And it's easy. And in the day, it's not about never being stepping up. So I can feel my masculine, my energy to go out and drive. It's popping out a little bit more now. And that's okay. But it's noticing when I'm using it as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Versus using it because it's useful for me to use it as in get shit done. That's useful when I need to. It's like I really want to get done. Great. It's great energy. It's directive. It's focused. But when I'm using it because I'm not asking, I'm not willing to receive that or let go of control. So the receiving.
When we started talking and you said like, oh, I'm going into my masculine energy because you're already into your feminine energy. Like, can you talk more about that?
You're very welcome. You're welcome. Say it again, darling. Sorry, say that again, please.
So when we first started chatting, so I'm like, oh, I've noticed, like, you said that that I'm going more into my masculine energy because I'm more into my feminine energy at the moment. Yeah. So what was that about?
So we got on before we went live, and so Sabina was kind of like, I'm gonna just say her kind of let's do me like kind of just girly shit, right? It was just like, oh, how's the lighting? How do I look? I'm taking the piss a bit. But that's kind of. I'm in my pretty little outfit, and I went shopping today in my outfit, and I was like, and I went straight into guy mode, and I was like, oh my God, wow, because I felt a little uncomfortable with it. And it was like,
Nice.
whoa.
Uh,
Because I
would
always
make
saw that as weakness. The feminine, I saw it weakness. The feminine was weak. It was like, like that was so
yeah,
fucking pathetic. Who gives a shit about that?
yeah.
You know, that's what I trained myself and told myself as a kid. So
Hmm.
there are still parts of me where that kicks in, and so it's, you know, I'm still unwrapping bits of that.
Yeah.
Um, so this last week I've been putting on pretty tops. I've only got about half a dozen left in the wardrobe. I seem to have got really functional. We talked about this last show. So I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm putting on a pretty top every day. And I'm wearing shorts. I'm like, I'm halfway there. Come on,
Halfway there.
it's a step
Baby
at a
steps
time.
are very important. Baby
Baby
steps.
steps. But I'm like, I'm putting on a pretty top because I want to look pretty. And it's like, I used to make that so, I did funky in the early
Yeah.
days of me. Because funky kind of still had a masculinity to it. So it was, you
Yeah.
know, was feminine, or what I called pretty was like feminine, therefore, oh, that's a bit weak. So yeah, I didn't want to go there.
I hear you because I'm very similar as well. Now I'm so much into my femininity, but before it was like just Doc Martens, skinny jeans, like, that manly walk, bar walking. Even if I wore heels, I would have the masculine walk. But now I'm actually wearing a skirt. Shocker.
Yeah, she is. And she looks cool, right? She's got to shake a
Wearing
little shit. Step back, step back, step back, step back. I want to see your legs go. Oh, look, that's it. Look at that. Oh
that like never happens ever. So
my God.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And it's not about clothing, but it's as women, and this is what's really fascinating. As women, so many women today are so fucking capable. You know, we run homes, we run careers, we run, if we've got children, we run the lives, we run the family. And look, all that focus run is the masculine. But then when we're in that, I mean, in a biological level, that means our testosterone is high. So our ability to receive the estrogen, or estrogen is what women, you know, that's a fundamental thing for women. Apparently we have a between 10, well, at least 10 times as much as men. For us to feel really safe and secure, it can be 20, 30 times as much. And it's just, when we're in do mode, that testosterone flies up, the estrogen flies right down, which basically means we're not able to receive. We're not able, we all want this kind of, and I thought this, and I'm really aware of it. We all thought, oh, we've been fighting, I think, as we become more, go out in the world, take care of things, or we have to. You know, we kind of want the romantic concept of a guy. Now, I know some of us aren't heterosexual or all different sexual preferences, but just keep with that concept. We can have it within a male, female, those energies. But we kind of want the romanticism of somebody that adores us and gives to us and contributes to us. And then we kind of get told, well, that's Disney and that's bullshit. But still part of us longs for it. And I think on a biological, physiological aspect of it, with women that we fundamentally have estrogen as our base, one of our key hormones, that's the hormone that wants to be nurtured. It's the hormone that enables us to care and connect. But it really blossoms when the masculine energy is there to give us to give that adoration to us, to take care of us. And that was what conventional roles were kind of more like. Although in the 50s it was more like the woman just stayed home and she was happy and the guy went out to work. You know,
Unhealthy.
yeah, so we can now definitely step out and express ourselves, but there's nothing more delicious than someone taking charge and for us to just relax and let go as women.
Oh my gosh, I
Our
would
bodies
love.
come alive.
I've been like
Yeah.
taking care of myself my whole life. Always go, go, go. Even my ex-partners, I always the breadwinner
Yes, you win your masculine.
and my masculine, yeah. So I didn't have the space to be that nurture, loving,
Yeah,
caring. So I was stressed all the
yeah,
time.
precisely.
It's
And the
just
ma- and
really,
the precisely. So when the male body, which has 10 times as much testosterone at least than us, that energy is full to go, 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 but they have more of it, which is why they generally have less stress. But if they go to stress, they then flick into their feminine, which means we want to then mother them. It's a real fucking mess. And the more I'm listening to this and realizing and understanding the biology, but I'm like, oh my God, this is where relationships are so fucked up. Because women feel like they have to like take care of everything, get everything done. So they're in the male side and they can't perceive all the things they really desire, which is to be taken care of. At least when they come home in relationship, they might be doing like in the workplace, they might need to be in go mode in our current work structures, right? We could question about that in society, but when they come home, they're still in that mode. There's no room for the guy to give to them, and so they then start looking for solutions, which means they start nagging.
Oh, that's the worst, isn't
They
it?
start nagging because like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you do that? Because they're looking for solutions. They're in their male testosterone, which is like find solutions. And then the guy flicks and is defensive, and then flicks into his estrogen, and so he's like in withdrawals, and generally they start arguing as opposed to the man needs to go away and replenish and get more into his masculinity and say, like, I've heard you, I need to go and sort myself out, and then we can come with something and start to look what we can create. But that shit gets all messed up, and I didn't really appreciate. I've never been a nagger. I just kept things in, or I did shit.
Yeah.
Which is not actually.
You yourself right. Instead of nagging yourself, how's that kind to you, right?
It's not kind, and it doesn't allow the man to like step up, or the masculine partner to step up and bring their gifts. And the feminine energy in whichever partner to really expand and like receive it.
And the guys as well, they love being needed. They love contributing. That's the thing as well. But we don't allow
totally sexy to a man. And so many women, we don't allow that. And it's like, oh my God.
I don't need anyone. Like, I can do this myself.
Yeah. And that's not sexy cool. So how many women here will listen to this later, and obviously men, because it's all part, how many women are like, well, I want a man that can really take care of me. Or not a man, I want a real man. I want a quality man. I want a conscious man. Or I want a.
But actually, are you going to allow the person, if you meet somebody like that, are you going to allow them to contribute to you, right? That's the question.
And it's old school stuff that we've, as women, as modern women, we're like, I don't need that. When a guy goes to open a door, I mean, just silly little everyday things. A guy goes to open a door, he goes to pay for a meal, or he wants to arrange a mystery date, or, women still want to like, well, no, I'll split halves, or they come more like mates, or, yeah, it's just.
I've been actually looking into this for quite a while. It came into my awareness. Yeah, that's when I started to be more feminine and looking to my femininity and working on that receiving part as well. Because I definitely blocked the receiving part. Because I decided, I don't need anybody. I can take care of myself.
Which you totally can, but that means stay single probably, because in relationship that's not. Unless you want to be the man and he wants to be the woman. I'm keeping it to heterosexual just to keep it simple. For the biochemistry, but it would work with the same gender as long as one's playing the more male, or has more masculine, has more testosterone, one has more estrogen as a default. But if a masculine man, or a masculine man, or a man in his true power, and therefore and that enables him to access his brilliance to start to actually have more compassion for the world as well. So for a man to go beyond just being himself, to create greater with his family, but also for the planet, he needs to really be in his testosterone, as in really confident in who he is, because then he's open to receiving new ideas. Most men are not open to receiving new ideas because they're actually fighting, actually insecure because they've got too much estrogen. Like so many men now are basically erectile dysfunction. I mean, it's just so common. Infertility, obviously infertility in terms of women as well. It's just skyrocketing. All our fucking hormones are out of balance. Depression, because it's all out of balance. Physical disease on many levels because we're all out of balance. It's just like the world is asking for something greater, and definitely in my own life, I'm like, I'm not going to live. The masculine's been really powerful for me, but I've been fighting the masculine by trying to slip into that feminine for those last 20 odd years, and I've been doing it in steps, and now I've just had this next bit, and it's like, I'm not going back. But it creates conflict, because until I get fully into that, fully receiving and being willing to be totally taken care of, I can't really access the true masculine, because my masculine was accessed from a fight, survival space, rather than the brilliance of creating something greater space. And I would dip into it, and I can dip into it, but I can't get full access to it because I'm not fully allowing somebody to for the world to have my back, to be the goddess, to be the I say princess, which has connotations, right? Because princess is when you're like a brat. I mean it more from a space of just having the most lush things, lush attention, lush.
Queen, how about that?
Say it again, darling.
Queen.
But a queen is a maturity. To be a queen is there's a maturity in being a queen, you know. And
Mm,
so there's a path for me to go through.
okay.
Somebody grows into a queen when she totally knows who she is in her
Mm,
feminine, when she knows she can totally seduce, as in, yes, of course you're here to give to me. Of course you are. And it's not for me. It's just like that's my birthright. Of course you are. And now I can contribute and lead my people or support the king if that's the case, and do
mm,
it from a space of like I know my power and I can contribute to you too, and we can reign together. But if they're
yeah,
out of balance, right? If they're out of balance,
that's
that's
not
a
gonna
fact.
happen.
Well, that's the political system in the world today. Yeah, out of balance.
Yeah. So when everybody's in balance, right? Like we can contribute to each other and you can lift each other to your best potential. That's the most amazing thing about it.
And fucking enjoy being here, frankly. Because I kept several times in my life I've got to that stage where I'm like, well, what's the point of being here? And it's not melancholic as in I want to kill myself. It's just like, what is the point? It's just if it's just consumerism, what the fuck?
Mm,
Not to make it wrong, but I'm like, that's not enough.
yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, okay, so yeah. And so, I am where I'm at right now. And so now I see the concept of what people call consumerism. I'm like, I can use that in a way that's fun for me now that before it wasn't because I was obviously always trying to make things
So,
safe and yeah. Not enjoy the sensualness of femininity, which
mm,
then makes clothes really lovely because it's a different connection to them or
you
going
look
out for a
very.
meal makes it a different experience.
I love the color. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's different. Our bodies move differently. Our enjoyment of having a body is completely different when in the feminine energy. So here's a question for the lovely ladies. How many of you, if you do have sex or make love, how many of you truly receive
Mm.
from your partner? As in, you're not trying to give them, you're not trying to satisfy them, you're not. Do you truly receive? Can you lay there for an hour and a half and be stroked and nibbled and kissed and licked and not try and give anything to your partner other than expressing your joy?
Oh, wow. That's quite a challenge, isn't it?
Because that's receiving. And I did that yesterday, and I noticed a couple of times in my mind wanting to go and give him something. I was like, I'm fucking
Mm.
receiving this shit. I'm gobbling this up. And that turned him on because I was just totally, it took a while. I was a bit like, when I first started, I was in my head a little bit in my masculine energy. I was a bit, and he didn't stop and he didn't stop. And I softened and I softened and my barriers came down. I softened, I softened, I softened.
Oh my gosh, I want to really try that now. But I know that it would be a challenge for me, definitely, to
Yeah.
fully just let go and receive.
Yeah. And then the guy feels great because he's just able to take care of his queen, right? Then he wants to
Yeah.
do more. Men they actually do want to take care of us, but not in the toxic way we're out of balance. That's not fun. Then they can't access that and we don't allow that. Or whoever your masculine energy partner is, if it's in a female body or another male if you're a male.
Mm.
Yes.
Thinking about that.
Being able to hi Peter, being totally able to receive it.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, that's a task and homework for maybe next week, next couple of weeks. We can ask you about that.
And it goes beyond even obviously just intimate partners, just in daily life. So I'll give you another example where I've noticed it in doing this where I'm at. For example, a lot of people over my lifetime have asked me to get involved in things because there's a certain energy I have, I'll get shit done or whatever it is. So, contribute to their projects. And so I'll often give someone a quick look at somebody's work, give it a quick overview. But I had a friend contact me and say, oh, can you look at something for me? And I'm like, I just went back left and said, babes, I'm in Caterpillar Soup. I haven't got energy for you and for this. I'm in Princess TV mode. Not going to happen. At some stage, I may well look at it, but go do your thing. And he came back and said, thank you so much for your candor. Go be gorgeous. And so how often do we as women say yes, yes, yes to things? Not that I was a yes, 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 but I started to recognize why I wasn't saying no to things, even in my own world. So I'm like, I'm shutting off my Facebook. I'm shutting off this. because I can't give you. Everybody just wants something. You don't want me to look at their page. You want me to look at their article. You want me to look at. I mean, they're just doing their thing, but it's all asking for attention. I'm like, no, I want the attention.
Yeah.
But for the first of my life, I really want all the attention. I'm not fucking giving it to any of you. So I had
That's
about a
interesting.
week, 10 days, like,
Yeah.
no.
Shut it down. Only me, huh? That like that's
Basically, yeah, me.
yeah,
Yeah,
that brings up also already anxiety in me, like only me. I'm like, oh my god, but that would make me selfish. But like, how would that make you selfish though, right? That's just like
yeah,
how we think. It's not
yeah. That's what
selfish.
we're taught, right? That's what we're
So,
taught.
yeah, when you take care of yourself. And when you take
Yeah.
care of yourself first, then you can be that energy of nurture to others as well, so much more easier,
Mm.
right?
And allowing ourselves to be like given to, as children, as babies, hopefully, not all of us, obviously, but
Yeah.
one would like to hope some stage we get gifted to continuously. I mean, everything we lay in a buggy or whatever it is, our butts are wiped, our faces are cleaned, we're given food, we're cuddled, we're soothed. It's like we are like the center of the world, the universe. We cry because we want something, we demand, and we get it. And so it's like, and then we start to realize we're a bit more independent. We start to explore the world, but there should be that space where we actually still get to be nurtured and given a safe home to know that it's okay for us to explore and then to have a sense of fun and exploration. I kind of missed out on all of that. And so I'm kind of discovering it now as an adult. Over the last 20 odd years, I've been discovering it. And I'm just going through that next hump. So I'm inviting you guys to maybe consider where you didn't have that and just maybe start to bring that into your world a little bit more. And there's lots of tools and things, but actually it's being willing maybe to go to spaces a little bit tender to
And
allow it to break open.
right? That's a very big one as well.
Say
Don't be
again,
afraid,
my darling.
don't be afraid to ask for what you need,
Yeah,
what you require.
yeah. And there's
I
a
just
learning to do that.
yeah, and I just had another thought as well, like how bad we are at receiving. How about like we all know that like when somebody gives you compliment, what do you do,
Classic
right?
one.
It's plastic, but like we are so bad at accepting compliments. How about
There's
just
a
like
great way, right?
thank you? And
Yeah.
always like if somebody, for example, say compliment about your top or whatever. Oh yeah, and most of us go to like, oh yeah, this is ancient, like and like you start going into that like negativity, and like why is it making it wrong or something? Because it makes everybody uncomfortable. Isn't that true?
I think there's a few little things in there, but yeah, but I mean, there's that fundamental thing. I think women as women, it's that if we go on this journey, of starting to really look at what it means to be a woman, in terms of the femininity of that receiving, just let somebody adore you. And
Mm.
we're not used to being necessarily. We don't necessarily want to be the center of attention. We're told that's being a bit of a bitch. That we think we're all that. We're not putting somebody else down. We're just actually going, yeah, I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Recognizing that. And this looks great with me. Thank you. That's got nothing to do with the girlfriend next door and saying she's not. She can be beautiful too. In fact, she
Yeah.
is. And it's just like, it's like, oh no, she thinks she's all that. I mean, how many girls? This is one of the reasons when I was younger, I didn't really have girlfriends. I had male friends because males just said it as it was. There wasn't any shit, disagreement, it was out and done. Girls, oh my God, I watched them bitch and moan and stab at each other. I was like, I don't want that in my life. Fuck you
And
lot. I'm staying with the guys.
as well, like we hold the grudges, don't we? We don't let shit go. We
Well,
wallow in
that's what I saw. That's what I saw. To me, that's the toxic
it.
femininity. It's not the true femininity because they're actually not getting their needs met emotionally. They're not actually even in their own feminine. So it turns into fucked up. But actually, when they can express and not be made wrong, when they can actually have somebody hold space, that baby can start to change. And when they start to learn, there's other ways to ask rather than nag. So it's a communication thing as well. There's levels here, and but we'll
Yeah.
have our own journeys as to how we get to that. But yeah, just so girlfriend, you look gorgeous.
Thank you. I know. That took me such a long time to learn, to accept. But now I do.
Yeah.
That's why I always pick myself outside in the camera before we start.
So,
I actually like what I see, I'm like, oh, you look so
yeah. And actually, there's an exercise that we're doing in my one of the book clubs I'm in at the moment, which is the School of Womanly Arts. It's all about stepping into the goddess, the femininity that we are. It's a very practical exercise. This book club's been going, I think we're on the second book, we've been going since the beginning of the year, pretty much. And so one of the exercises in the last chapter is around, it's just saying, I am beautiful. And how many women, I actually posted a video in Joyful Bodies timeline around the middle of June. I actually pinned it to the top of the page yesterday. And I caught myself walking past my mirror one day and I was like, oh my God, how beautiful is that? And it was like I was watching myself from another being, just seeing the beauty of this form. And so please go watch it, because I'd like, the energy to be shared. And women don't look in the mirror. And I wasn't like just checking myself out, going, oh, my eyes look great. It was just like this universal going, oh my God, like the divinity of our beauty. It was like, wow, amazing. And there was no judgment, there was nothing.
amazing. It's so good. I think we were doing the same thing that week, weren't we? I'm like, damn, you're amazing. Like, not just beautiful on the physical, but yeah, as you said, like the whole world, how it shines out.
Yeah. So hi, Bobby. Welcome, my darling. Thanks for joining us. So that's the journey it's been. And
oh, how about as well? Now, you said that you were always surrounded by guys and stuff. So how about more girlfriends? How many girlfriends do you have?
I mean, that changed. The guy to female thing changed around my when I started to question what was going on and who I was. I had a small group of girlfriends then who basically would stand what I call toe to toe with me. They wouldn't back down, right? Because that was the energy I had. Was like, if I was going to open up, I needed to know I could stand toe to toe with somebody and they weren't going to freak out. So a few girlfriends had started to come into my world who were like that, and they were kind of quite in their feminine, but they had enough of a balance of their masculine. And so sometimes I'd go like, oh, you're so fucking girly. But they'd be like, oh, yeah, whatever. And they would just like laugh it off and they wouldn't back off. And I was like, oh, okay. So the balance started to shift. So it became more girlfriends. And so now it's what I would call my very close friends who've known me over the years. It's split even, actually, female and female. But I spend a lot more time. I've spent a lot more time with women over the last 20 years than men. Interesting enough, it's shifted. Yeah. But I've still been in my masculine energy quite a lot with them.
Oh, how about you come to my Red's tent? Does it take me too far? Isn't the baby step like a leap?
I'm like, there's a few little things bubbling there.
That's too much of a challenge.
You know what comes up for me is so one of the things I've recognised in this is how I'm going here is my prefrontal cortex. It's like trying to give functional stay in here. One of the things that comes up for me is I know the power of sharing how we feel. One of the things I've always struggled with is what women generally do when they're still not going into their full feminine. They moan.
Oh, we are changing that.
Yeah. So, but generally, so yes, I know. But generally, when women chat with each other, they moan. And so I've never been interested. I've been in that, share where you're at with the space of it being of creating awareness, self-awareness, and going through your stuff. The woman needs to go through her stuff. And she's like, I need to just go through this. Can you hold the space? I'm totally there. But she's going on a journey to get through. If she wants to stay in what I call bitch moan, nag about the husband mode, but I don't have girlfriends that do that. And I've never. So I've always been a bit resistant about women's circles because I know sometimes they go to that space.
Sometimes it can be, but most of the time it's just like, you know what? It's actually just about what's going on in their lives and not in that, nagging way.
Yeah, being witnessed. Right? Being witnessed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Which is a different thing altogether, which is the true feminine.
Or, like, if you're happy, you're happy. You share whatever is going on with your life, when you're happy. If you're sad, that's fine too. You can be however you feel that day. You know, if you're angry, have a rant, and you're gonna be hurt. And once you let that go, versus it just like it shifts the energy, doesn't it? But I also brought up this. It's from the book which you're reading, which you're working with.
Spring cleaning.
Love that. The bragging exercise.
Share. I'm just going to tell my background, darling. Tell people about spring cleaning or bragging. There's 2 processes in the book.
Oh yeah. So the bragging exercise is brilliant. So basically, you have a space to brag. Like, how often do we do that, right? About what's going on, what you've done to nurture yourself, what you've achieved. We usually go into that, like, you know, the stuff which is wrong in your life. So no, I asked everybody to focus on the goods, what's happening, and do it shamelessly. Don't feel bad about your brag. Don't, you know, and the other ones are actually able to jump in if anybody's diminishing the brag, for example. So basically,
share a brag with me.
Oh,
give me a brag.
I spent a lot of money on clothes lately, and I feel absolutely fabulous. It made me feel good. I feel sexy. I feel feminine. Lots of dresses as well. Yeah. So that's my brag. I spoiled myself with a new wardrobe.
Delish. Thank you. Yeah. So the process actually in bragging, this is from Mama Gina. The process is just to say something you've done, normally without justifying it, because that's what women do. Oh, I did this because, right? Yeah. Which diminishes it. It's just like, whereas a guy would just say, yeah, I did that. I just own that.
That because, and I'm like, nope, not allowed.
Yeah, so you say what it is. You can just definitely express the emotion of how exciting it is, but no justifying it. It was because it's just this, and then the other women in the circle would say thank you. But if a woman goes to, oh, but I shouldn't have done, oh, but I did this wrong, I was like, no, that's diminishing. It's like, stop. So would you ask me to share a brag, please?
Please, would you share that brag? What?
I wore a pretty yellow top the other day and I showed cleavage and I was so chuffed with myself.
Thank you for your brag.
You're welcome.
She sent me a little video of it, and there was a little bit of a boob going on there. It was really sexy.
Yeah. Bear in mind, masculine and feminine energy, where I've played, just to give you context, for another woman that might not be a big thing. Masculine and feminine, for me it was a big thing.
Yeah.
Go on, one more brag, and then we'll wrap up.
I've treated myself to a delicious massage. It was heavenly. So gorgeous.
Oh my god, that's so yummy. I'm dribbling. Celebrated. Oh, it's so yummy.
You give me another one.
Thank you. Oh my god, not organising some builders or the insurance stuff. We had somebody hit our house, and me not organising, taking care of it, like taking over and project managing it, which is my masculine. I'm just like, babes, you take care of it.
I am actually shocked because I know Cheryl very well, and this is a huge thing for her. So wow, well done. I am so impressed.
Thank you. I can feel it a little bit every now and then, but mostly I'm like, no.
Damn. You go, girl.
Letting go of control. And this goes full back to where we started the conversation. For me, it's this part of this 2 weeks has been about letting go of control and just like let somebody else take care of shit. Because you know what? I don't want to be in that masculine energy all the time anymore. I want to find the feminine. I want to find the woman that I know I can be and have that sensual, delicious, orgasmic living. And then when I step into my masculine, I'm coming from a space which is way more potent, way more like woof, goddess level. Which there's certain women we just see and they're just like on fire. They totally own their feminine. Then they use their masculine to like create cool shit in the world. Very different.
Yeah.
So let that be an invitation, everybody. We're coming up to the end of the show. Thank you, darling.
Thank you for listening and thank you for sharing so much today.
Thank you, everybody that gets to watch this, and I hope it's some kind of contribution. Come join us again in a couple of weeks, probably.
Yep. We'll post some links again where you can find us in the chat. So
And
just
we'll, yeah.
on it. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to say bye to people that know now. Ciao.